When you're just starting out and designing your first module or synthesizer, it might be overwhelming simply because you look at all these giant companies who are building things cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And then you think for yourself, where do I fit in this? And there is a bit of a different way of looking at it. If you're thinking about being agile and trying new things, you actually have the advantage over a large company. Simply because a large company has a lot of stakeholders to talk to and to please when they're designing something. They cannot just come up with a wild idea. They need to be constrained to what the company vision is. While you, as someone who is just working from an artistic perspective as a musician or as a young designer, you have this freedom to express yourself and make something that is completely wild and wacky and interesting and lovely. And so in today's conversation, I have the pleasure to talk with Gian from Herbertson Stones exactly about his approach and the way that he looks at designing an instrument from a musician perspective, creating something small, specific, that serves his needs and people like him, disregarding the convention and looking for fun, playful ways of creating an instrument that would inspire a different kind of performance. Without further ado, this is the Synth Academy, the Synth Design Podcast, and Herbs and Stones.
This is a really ancient prototype of the liquid foam. It is different, but it has some of the same functionality I wanted to keep in the definitive version. This one has two sequencers and pretty much works the same, but it is really bad sounding and it has a lot of problems that obviously I then try to fix, apart from the obvious layout, which is really different. This one is written by hand, so all wood. It was just for me, I made just one of it.
Yeah, that's
then,
cool.
When I decided that the version I had on breadboard was the final one, I switched to my CAD software of choice, which is KiCad. I like to work with KiCad. And then I made some prototype boards to see if it worked. And it did, with some minor variation I had to do, but it was almost 90% working, let's say. And then I had to figure out a layout for the panel. And the first one I did was this, which is similar to the one that I use in the end, but it's a different material. This one is material that used to make kitchens or kitchen tables. Mm-hmm. So I went to a place near here, I bought a big sheet of this material, which is like a laminate, I think it is called, a high pressure laminate. And but it's really hard to work. I had to use a laser cutter to make the engravings, and I tried, but at the end it was really time consuming and really expensive. So then I switched to PCB materials like other companies do. So the faceplates are in FR4. It's like the materials that the PCBs are made.
Yeah.
Like the final version.
Yes. But the one before was from laminate?
Yes.
Can you show it again? This is a very interesting choice.
I bought it from a company that makes kitchen tables, something like that.
Right.
It is quite strong as a material, but it's hard to work, to engrave. It is really difficult.
Yeah. So how did you do the engraving on it?
There's a lab in here in my place that you pay a fee, and then like I don't know, €N per hour, and I send my DXF files and try it. But in the end, I prefer to use the other material.
Of course,
more reliable, and also more cheap, because this one is really expensive, and in the end, it's not as precise as I want it to be.
Yeah, I think everybody's now realizing that PCB can be used for a really cool faceplates in general,
Yeah,
because you can
yeah,
also
it
use
depends.
translucent. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. I tried different companies. I'm happy with the silk screen I have in this, with the matte black finish. I liked it. I want to try other companies to see the different, how the light reflects, because now the gentle bomb is made a metal with the, how you say, varnished metal, and the faceplates, which are slightly different as a matter of how they the light reflects. So I want to see if I find something more that is more similar, but in the end I like it that way at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side question: we're now in your studio.
Yes.
Can you maybe tell us a little bit about this space? Because it looks
sure,
really cool.
It is a kind of big, medium-sized warehouse. I split the rent with two friends of mine. One has a record label, and one she does ceramics. So everybody has his own place, and we split the size of it because it would be too much for me at the moment. So I have my big space. Yeah.
Are you on a laptop now?
Yes.
Can you show us around a bit?
Oh yeah, sure, a bit. But this is the other part, my other tables and stuff. Yeah, I am in the center of the room, so I can't show you the main workbench because I'm here now and I can't move the laptop.
Right.
Because it's attached to the, to
okay, yeah, no worries. No worries. Okay, so yeah, back to the liquid foam. So I saw on YouTube that you actually had a video quite early in the process with like two versions that look completely different than the one that that you have now. Can you maybe share a bit of the process of how it actually got to that level and then to the level that we have now?
Yeah, the circuit inside is the same as now. I did the circuits, I tried it, and then I had to do this faceplate. Before trying the laser cut thing I showed you earlier, I did some by hand with the MDF sheet, like 3 metal MDF, which is like really cheap and easy to work. And I did too, just to make some demos and to have for myself actually. Yeah. And then, so they were if I recall correctly, they were handwritten with stickers, smileys, and yeah.
Yeah, one of them on the left is with stickers, just black with stickers, and the other one on the right is with the drops. But these are also stickers.
That one was silk screen actually. I did a screen and tried it. I used to do silk screening when I was younger, like as a passion. So I thought maybe it was like the best way for me to make the panels. But in the end, it's too time consuming and it is really easy to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So I tried it. It was
silk
fun,
screen.
but
silk screen is fun. You can also create like really cool effects with it, but it can be quite time consuming and expensive. Yeah.
I'm still thinking I'm trying maybe to use some silk screening on my faceplates because I can print just white and black. So maybe we can make some details with other colors, which is like the big chunk of the layout is already there, and then maybe I can add some details with different colors. I think that would be nice, but I have to think about it for the next products. We'll see.
It just gave me an idea. Just imagine, because you could actually have in the PCB translucent areas, you could create like just put a yellow LED light in the back of a part with a face, with a smiley face.
A lot of people are doing that. The make noise panels are doing like that. So some stuff from Future Sound Systems do that. Yeah, it is a nice way to use the translucent of the material. The way it how you say, it channels the light is nice.
And they use it for feedback to just get an indication of where you are, what you're doing. This can simply be just for aesthetic style, right? Because you could have different LED lights and different colors and then just bring the whole thing to life with color that is like alive because of the light.
For different modes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely for different modes. Cool.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if you, so the process, how long the whole process was until the point that it was actually out.
Well, it took me a lot because when I started to work on the liquid foam, I didn't have the knowledge, technical knowledge to build it. So it was like my fantasies, my ideas, and then studying to see what I need to create this instrument I had in mind. I had a lot of different ideas, and then I had to like cut away all the non-necessary parts and strip it down a bit. I think it's like really essential as a synthesizer. It's really basic, not a lot of functionalities, but I think it works for what it's like made for, like doing bass lines, doing rhythms and stuff. It's pretty simple, but you know, with the two sequencers, you can, with just one voice, you can have different results. Let's say like this. So I had I don't remember correctly the timing, but I think the first board was ready maybe in April 2019, and then it took me the whole year to try to make some videos and publicize it a bit and try to find someone that would be happy to review it and try to find some shops to sell it.
Yeah, but this was
So I
not
was
your,
really,
but this was also not really a full-time job.
no, not at all. I worked in a pizzeria for 9 years.
Yeah.
Very Italian thing to do.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so it was my second job.
Yeah, so
it was an hobby, to be honest. At the first, it was an hobby. From January 2020, I opened my company, but I still had the other job. So the first half of 2020, it's been like working a part-time job and another part-time job. But in the end, most of the time I worked and also up to 15, 16 hours a day because I had a lot of orders mostly after the first Heimbach video came out. I did a review of the liquid foam, and I'm still really thankful for that because it gave me the opportunity to, you know, leave my job. That was it.
Yeah.
Leave my day job and focus 100% on this thing.
Yeah.
That I like more, and it's, you know,
I bet he's also, I bet he's also appreciative for people like you making stuff like this, because it's really fun to explore a new kind of instrument, especially because he has this fascination with banana cables, so banana plugs. So I think that he probably had he appreciated that as well.
He was enthusiastic since the beginning.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you actually had quite a few features that you had to cut off. Can you dive into this a little bit to explain how did you make decisions there?
The main thing for me was that I wasn't sure how to control the CV inputs. The liquid foam sends and receives just gate signals. So the thing was, if I use you know a bit how it works, the sequencer works. It has 3 inputs, which is a simple R2R ladder, like a simple digital to analog converter, 3-bit digital to analog converter. And so I want the things I had to cut off was like a triangle LFO, for example. Everything that was not discrete, but like moving voltages, because then I would have to separate some inputs from some other inputs and some outputs from some other outputs, like in, you know, Buchla gear where I have different stuff. So in the end, I tried to do this way, also because as I already mentioned, I think this instrument was made for myself pretty much. So I wanted to have a really straightforward groove box to synchronize with my Akai sampler and do techno music and stuff like that. That was it. So I had to strip down, but the choices were a bit like made not with a company point of view in my mind, not like I wasn't really how you say conscious of what I was doing. I did a bit like randomly to see what would happen.
Right.
Now it's different, but it was at the beginning, so who cared? So I tried.
Yeah, so it was just trying out. You got to a point where you actually have something, then you realize that some things are maybe too complex or just don't really fit, and it was like a natural growth, natural development towards the final feature pack or the instrument itself. Right. It seems like the instrument itself is actually fairly big for what it is. It's really spacious in terms of like the spacing between the knobs, the typography is really big. Can you talk a little bit about that? Was like the form factor first? Was it something that you defined because you wanted it to be that big, or was it really the circuits are that big?
No, the circuits are not that big. I think the circuit form could be big, like a Basel castle, and really small. Yeah, I think so. With SMT components, maybe. Yeah, but I want it to be like a desktop synthesizer that this is a matter of taste. It is personal. To me, it was like the nice size to have on my desk. On my desk, I had an MPC 1000. And I wanted something that was also look nice beside it.
Yeah.
So also, I think that with banana cables that are stackable, it is really easy to get things that are too messy, and you can't even read the text underneath. So I think this is like the right amount of space between knobs and jacks for this kind of product.
Right.
Obviously.
How did you figure it out? The spacing? Did you have different sizes that you played with to the point that you realized, yeah, it needs to be 1 centimeter larger or smaller?
The layout, usually I take like a school workbook, like the one with all the columns and all the squares, half centimeter squares, and you use that as a reference, and then I place the knobs, place the potentiometers, everything, and see from above how it would look, and then I just move it around, and then when I have a rough idea, I then make a grid on KiCad, move it to Photoshop, and then I have all the PSDs of the components with the right dimensions, and then I start to like draw my synthesizer without even thinking about the layout, the board layout. The two things are made like parallelly. I have to do like this, but in the end, it starts from the external part, and then I go back to how I should put the components on the rear side of the board.
So is the board connected to the interface?
Yes.
Okay, so at the end you do.
I'll show you. This is a gentle one without the enclosure. This is the board. On the back, you have all the components. Then you have the potentiometers, the switches.
Yeah.
So then the faceplate gets.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
And that's
so at a certain point there, you had to make changes on the electronic side to fit the interface side.
Yes, but not on the circuit, just on the placement of the components on the board.
Yeah.
So most of the time, nothing that got into the way of the sound or anything.
Yeah, because anyway, it's really large, so you had enough space for it.
Yeah, I had enough space.
Yeah. Are there any funny jokes on the PCB itself? Like pieces of text and stuff, yeah?
No, maybe. On the last gentle one, it was I sent the board. It's not a joke, but I sent the board the 19th of May, and it was my dad's birthday, so I wrote in really dad's birthday. It was just to send a picture to him and make him laugh. He was happy about it.
That's super nice. Yeah, let's So what I'm interested to know is you've invested quite some time on liquid foam.
Mhm.
Then you now released your new instrument, the Gentle Wham.
Sure.
If you are thinking about the process that you went through with liquid foam, how did it inform the new instrument? Were there things that you felt like I am now doing differently? I'm more efficient in experimentation or design or
Yes, but it wasn't the liquid foam. It was another instrument that in the end I didn't produce, but I will produce, I think, hopefully before the end of the year, which I won't tell the name right now,
That's okay.
but it's a stereo multimode filter with
Okay.
modulation and stuff, which was ready. I have it here, the final board. This one had mini jacks and everything. See, this is
Cool.
one of a lot of iteration of it.
Mhm.
But in the end, right before I had the graphics and everything, just before making the first prototypes to send for review and then to my distributor and then start the first batches and sell them, I thought there was something that I didn't like about it, about the modulation. I think it was too straightforward. I wanted to be a bit more to keep a bit of weirdness, let's say, in it, to make it more interesting, at least to me. And so I put the project away because it took me a lot of months. I was a bit frustrated with it. So then doing this, I learned a lot of stuff, like on designing the relation between board design and panel design and everything I told you before. It was making this filter that helped me more than the liquid foam. So then I was a bit upset. I'm not saying upset, but I was a bit frustrated with it. And then I moved to the Gentle Wham, which I designed in really a short time. Like I think in a week I did all the electronics. I did the first prototyping. They didn't work. But I fixed a couple of really stupid errors I did, and then it was almost good to go. It was like I think the last one is version 1.2. Yeah, it is a
Really?
definite one. Because I had most of the circuits that time, the voice circuits are designs that I made some years ago. I wrote it down, but never incorporating something bigger. So the most of the work I had to do was like put together everything and give a coherent position in the layout, also in the soundscape, let's say, in the internal soundscape, to make it like to make it an instrument, not just like a collection of sound machines.
Yeah.
So that was it. Pretty fast. Maybe.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Maybe just. I think it was just a frustration that the filter gave me that helped me concentrate more on the new one, and I'm happy with it.
I think it's actually a pretty professional way of dealing with things with something like that, because we tend to get stuck with things and get lost on small details, not really looking at the bigger picture. If you're developing a company, then and you want to do it like a full-time thing, and you want to serve a community of people with an instrument like that or instruments like these, then yeah, you should sometimes just stop, be like, okay, this can come later. Let's do something else. Let's get back to the fun phase. Yeah, I get it.
I needed that. And now that I'm away mentally from this, sometimes I'm just walking around doing different stuff, and ideas pop in my mind really just by themselves about the stereo filters, and I say, oh, that's a good idea. So I think that by October, once I ship out the first Gentle ones, I get back to the breadboard and finish it, and hopefully, I think by November. I hope so. It depends. It is
Nice.
August, so I'm really lazy in these days. So it is
Yeah.
really hot in here. So
I wish it would
I'm
be
not.
that hot here. It's like it's rainy the whole time.
Where are you located?
I'm in Rotterdam in the
I'm in
Netherlands.
Rotterdam. Okay.
Yeah.
So things are a bit slower in here because of the. I feel like I need more oxygen.
Yeah.
But from September on, I'll be full time again. I'm still working full time, but not as much as I would or I
Yeah.
should.
I think it's good to take some break, and also considering the fact that you actually released an instrument already this year, so
Mhm.
releasing another one in the same year, I think is quite remarkable.
Well, since it's already almost there, it's like 80% made. I'd like to try and see what happens. Maybe it
Cool.
gets too much also for me. I don't know. I'm still working by myself,
Yeah.
so by next year, I think I should hire someone to work with me full time.
Okay.
We will see. Mm.
To all your Italian neighbors who are now listening to this.
Should put
Cool.
some ads.
Yeah. um, so if I'm looking at the design from a typographer perspective, I have a background in graphic design, so I'm really a type nerd. When I'm looking at your designs, this really looks like almost like a poster that we would make like years ago. I think it touches on a lot of different influences that I personally find really interesting. Can you share a little bit about like where it comes from, where the design aesthetics come from?
Well, to me, it was really like I noticed. I don't think it's the nice way to say, but it was like freestyling with Photoshop and trying different stuff and see what looked nice. 50 layers and then move this, move that. I was looking at some fonts. I like the idea to mix a grotesque with a gothic font for the liquid foam, and I found these two one that I liked, so I tried it, and in the end, I still like it. I
Did you
did
do it? Yeah.
no, please tell me.
Did you do any graphic design before? Any
No,
posters
no,
or
no,
no?
no, no. Oh well, by myself. I mean, I used to play a lot with bands or projects, so sometimes I did some uh, flyers or
Yeah.
graphics or band tapes or whatever. Yeah, but
Well, if you
really
if you have
amateurish.
if you have any of these,
Amateurish.
I would love to see them. I'll just add them on the
Uh,
video. I think
I
this could
have
be
maybe somewhere, but I have to check through
sure.
big packs of, or how do you say, CDs and hard drives.
Yeah.
So that will take a bit.
Okay. Well, I'll try to ping you on this later.
Yeah,
But
sure.
if we talk about the Gentle Wham, it's a pretty straightforward instrument. What are the things that make it a bit more unique, in your opinion?
Well, the sounds that it makes are a bit, to my ear, a bit different from the other drum machines or drum modules that are around. Maybe the master filter is something that people told me were enthusiastic about,
Hmm.
and to me that was the first thing I wanted to have in my drum machine: a master filter that can be used also as an isolator or as some kind of phaser in some combination. If the knobs are in some position, you send maybe a triangle wave CV, and you can have a kind of phaser sound. Mm, I don't know. It is straightforward. You have each channel has a trigger button, a mute button. It's LED, a trigger
Hmm.
LED. But the difference is that the circuits are a bit like I think it sounds a bit raw. You can make some more gentle sounds with it, but you have to sculpt it a bit. In the end, it's like made with the kind of sound that I usually like, really raw sounds.
Yeah.
Um, the first channel, which is like you can mostly use it to do kick drums, is a bit 909-ish, like a decaying triangle wave that
Hmm.
can be like shaped into a sine wave, and then also an almost square wave to give a really distorted sound, like a gabber kick drum, something like that. And the third channel, with the one with the third knob, is like a lot of it was like square waves mixed together, and then it is a really simple trick, and then the third knob takes away a bit of the current to the integrated circuit, so it behaves weirdly and makes different noises.
So can you explain this a bit further?
Sure. It is a really, I think you can find in most of the forums for DIY synth enthusiasts that are at the really beginning. They use this kind of stuff to make mostly drone and noisy boxes. And I shaped that kind of sound with a simple VCA, which is a transistor-based VCA, which is really crude and gives extra harmonics that I liked in here. A simple envelope generator, which is decay only. And then that cuts the sounds, the length of the sound. And then let's say the texture of the sound changes with the third knob.
Right. And it's 2 square waves.
No, it's 5 square waves.
5 square waves.
See that they're cascaded. No, you just mix it. No, they're not cascaded. They're mixed together passively.
Right. They're mixed passively.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they get in the way of each other, so to create more noise, actually, which is good to shape a kind of snare sound. Or some kind of hi-hat sound. But I use it mostly for snare sound.
Yeah, I think that's really one of the things that really make it stand out sound-wise. Absolutely. And what about the signifiers? I see a lot of letters here and typography. The written typography is easy to understand. There is drive, thirst, then pitch 1 and pitch 2, or right?
Yeah.
But then what are the, like, there is a D, E, C, A, Y.
That was because the first row on the bottom is all the volume of the channels. Instead of writing volume on each channel, I wrote the first letter of the word volume. So if you read everything, it says volume. The same thing for the decay. DECI. So that's a bit of a joke, but it's also a way to avoid the repeating always the same thing.
And at the top we have the different sockets, and you have
3 per channel.
Sorry?
3 per channel. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 per channel. And what are these used for?
The bottom 2 are passively mixed together, and they take gates or triggers or whatever signal to excite the internal comparator and then trigger the sound. So you can also put a sine wave or whatever, a microphone with high enough gain, and then you can trigger it with that. It has a low threshold point. I don't remember now. I think it is 1.75 volts. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure at the moment. I have to check. But okay. It is really low. So pretty much a contact mic and anything would do.
Yeah.
So it is versatile, I think. And you can plug Euro rack stuff, also banana stuff. It is protected from over voltages, under voltages, so it is pretty safe to try everything. Yeah. And if you plug signals from 2 different instruments that are different time or different rhythms, they do the 2 inputs work as an AND logic AND gate, so you can make more complex pattern with those.
Right. Right.
The central one in the upper part is the individual output. If you plug a jack in there, the voice will be taken away from the main mix, and then you can mix it or effect or whatever
Right.
somewhere else.
Right. So now, when you have your filter in the future to be working on, are there any other projects on your bench at the moment, or just ideas that you're planning to experiment with?
Just in my head at the moment. I have some ideas for some Eurorack modules, but it's too early to talk about it. I always fantasize about making a desktop synthesizer just to make different noises like harsh noise or drone sounds, which is a kind of music I do always like, especially when growing up. So make an instrument which is designed to be complex about it. So you have it has to be stereo, it has to be, I want it to be not like a white noise machine, of course, but with a filter. So I'm writing down a lot of ideas on that, but we will see.
Yeah.
Because it is really easy to fantasize about these things, but then in the end it takes a lot more time than expected every time.
Yeah.
So we will see.
What does it take to translate something like the Gentle Wham into a Eurorack module?
Well, this one won't take me that long because it works with bipolar power supply. So internally it's converted to bipolar. So I could do it, but I don't think I will do it as an entire instrument. Maybe what I think I could do that interests me more is like take one or two voices, expand the possibility of those voices, and then do a separate drum module. Because this the Gentle one to me makes sense as a whole at the moment. So like I don't see the need to have a drum module with its filter inside in a Eurorack environment, which is full of different filters that maybe sounds better without maybe. Most of them sounds really good and better than mine. So I don't think it would be like interesting. Maybe commercially it could be a wise choice, but I don't think it would be nice to at least it's not coherent with my idea of the company. So I think, yeah, different modules, which are maybe based on the one inside the Gentle one, but more expanded with more possibility, textural possibilities, or control over the single parameters.
Yeah. So where do you feel this whole space of standalone synthesizers and modular synths are going, or where would you wish for something like this to go? If you're thinking about someone who is only 20 years old now, really interested in this space and trying to explore, what would you advise them to? What kind of challenges would you advise them to take that you hope that are going to be developed further in the near future?
Well, I see that at the moment, the market of desktop synthesizer, but that synthesizer in general, is really dividing. There's a lot of the bigger companies and like doing more and more stuff and keeping it always cheaper. And the smaller one are making instruments that, like me, that I think are getting weirder every time. And I think they, talking personally, I think the need as a potential customer, obviously, to create something that keeps me excited and also maybe wondering a bit more about the way I make music. I don't know. Everything has been made loads of time. It is really difficult to create something new. It is more, the thing is more the way how you combine parts, how you combine circuits, the idea you give to your instrument, and especially the ideas that potential users can take from the instruments. And I think having different approaches towards synthesis or even sequencing or this kind of products is I would say to a younger student of yours to try to be as creative as possible and not try to do another subtractive synthesizer, because there are already a lot that probably are made better than what he could do, at least better than what I can do. I don't know. I couldn't be at the moment. To me, it would be impossible to create a desktop synthesizer that perfectly tracks on 8 octaves, etc., etc. I could do it. The informations are out there. I have the books. I have the forums, but I don't see why. Personally, I don't want to take that path, and I'd like to explore more the a bit weirder part of it. But just this is just for myself, because as a customer, I prefer that kind of instruments. It's more fun in the end.
I think that's also what's expected from a small company.
Yeah.
Normally, larger companies, they have many stakeholders that they need to please. And when you're just working from your living room or a large space you're renting with a few other artists, then ideas that might be completely canceled and not even discussed in a large company can be realized into something completely wacky and weird. And that's what makes it really unique. If you're referring back to musicians like Heinbach, for instance, that's exactly what he's looking for. Like the first thing he did with your instrument was to see if he can make weird sounds out of it. Because I mean, drum machines are nice, but like sequencers are nice, but can you actually make something a bit more than that? And that's where it becomes more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best example of this kind of instruments is the stereo field from Landscape. I do really appreciate. I don't own one yet, but I think it's really, really simple as an instrument. You can mangle by touching the plates, but it's really nice to see. And I think it's one of the best instruments that is made to simulate creativity.
Yeah, definitely.
It is not just a crackle box. It is more than that. It blends the halfway between weird instruments and an art object, and that's what I appreciate most in this kind of world.